Hey, I'm Kevin, and today we're getting ready to go on our epic Christmas adventure out to Colorado. And because we're living in our camper, we're going to have to winterize it before we leave. Unfortunately, the propane just doesn't last long enough if we're gone to keep it well heated, and you can't use a space heater. So I'm going to take you through the process of winterizing your camper today so you can see how easy it is. One of the first things that I do is I go inside and I bypass the hot water heater. I actually shut off two valves and turn on one, and I'll show you how to do that. And then I come outside and I drain the hot water heater. I shut it off ahead of time so it's not too hot. Let me show you what you do when you open up the hot water heater. Okay, so what you do when you winterize is you bypass the hot water heater. Let me get my light in here. So what happens is there's a valve up here. You shut this valve off. You can see it's in the off position. You shut the bottom valve off, which now is in the off position. And then you turn the valve in between those two. I don't know if you can get a big picture and see where it's at in there. And you turn that on. What that allows the water to continue to run through the system. Sorry, you can't see me. That allows the water to continue to run through the system as I'm winterizing, but it doesn't go into the hot water heater anymore. And be sure to shut your hot water heater off ahead of time before you drain the hot water heater. So I'm going to open the air pressure release valve first, and then I'm going to remove the plug. The plug that I have is plastic, and when I take that out, then the water will come out freely. It will run for about 5 minutes as it's emptying out. So the additional thing that we're going to do is dump our black tank and then our gray tank like normal. So if you have that, you just pull the valve, you let the black run through. We're going to rinse that tank, then we're going to open up our gray valve, and we're going to let that gray water go down and rinse through the hose. Once we get that done, then we're going to unhook our water, and then I'm going to suck up some antifreeze into the system. Normally I don't do that, and normally I use a compressor to blow out of the lines, but all I have is this little handy dandy compressor thing. I'm going to do it. I'm not sure how much it's really going to do, so I'm not really confident in it, so I'm going to go ahead and put antifreeze in the lines because this is my home, and right now I can't afford to have it messed up because I got to live in it, and I don't want to be fixing it in January when we get back and it's freezing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and unhook my water line and set that by the side. I'm going to go ahead and open up all my low point drain valves, which may be different from what you have, but these are all my low point drains. I'm going to open up those. Next thing I'm going to do is come over I've already shut my water off. I'm going to unhook my hose from my area here. The insulation I've pulled off for now because I want to make sure that the water line is drained. Once it's drained, I'll hook it back up so that when I get back home, all I have to do is turn it back on. Okay, so I lifted up the hose just to make sure the water was out of it. I'm going to blow through it just to make sure there's nothing left in it. And I can tell that there's nothing left in it. So now, the next thing is, depending on what kind of system you have, normally what I do is I blow out the lines with an air compressor. All I've got is this little thing. I'm going to try doing it. I'm not sure it's as effective. So because I'm not sure how effective it is at doing it without the air compressor here, I'm going to then use antifreeze in the lines, but I do want to try to blow out as much water as I can. So this piece here you can get from any camper store. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And then to do this part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off all of my low point drain valves, because the whole idea is that as you pressurize the system, it pushes the water out through the faucets and stuff in the house. So then what I'm going to do before I get started is I'm going to open up I'm going to open up the kitchen sink one first, and then I'm going to have my wife open up the other one in succession after that, after it starts to blow some water out. So on this, when I start to do it, I've got a little cord wrapped around here to hold the trigger down. So once I get going, it'll hold it down and I can go open the valves. So I was actually pretty impressed with that. The little compressor actually shot a lot of stuff out, and then the low point drain kept pushing stuff out through the low point drain. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect an additional hose, and I'm going to suck up the pink stuff with the pump from the camper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this in, and on this particular model I've actually got things I can do, and it says antifreeze sanitized lines. Okay, and if I do that, it will suck up and put this into the lines. So what I have is I have the main line open in the kitchen. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to be recording myself. I'm going to have Stacy run in there, watch that one. As it spurts out of it, she's going to shut that one off, run to the shower, do the same, toilet, all the different pieces. Now, this line I brought to do this with is bigger than the actual input, so I'm going to have to cut a hole in here, and then once it starts sucking, I'll be dumping the additional gallons in there. So what I'm going to do is try to see which one of these is the least full. Looks like that one. I'm going to get these other ones ready by having this ready to dump into that one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a utility knife and cut that open so I can stick my hose down in there so it'll start sucking out of that. Then I'm going to dump these additional ones into that, and then try to save at least about 3/4 of a gallon to put in the traps inside in the drains. Okay, so it started pumping up. I forgot Stacy going inside the house to shut off the inside as it goes. So I'm going to turn the pump back on, and I've filled this back up again with this additional gallon that I have here. When you hear that pump shut off, that's she opens it, the pump turns on, she closes the valve, it turns off. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to save the rest of this, unless I dump it on everything. Nice thing about this stuff is just basically alcohol. It's not actual like real antifreeze. If you sanitized your, or if you put this in your, if you put real antifreeze in your stuff, it'd kill you. So don't do it. All right, so I'm going to head in and then just put this in down the drain, enough that each drain has plenty in it. So that's pretty easy, but it is necessary, especially when we're going to be gone in the coldest months of the year. For links to the products used, go ahead and go to our website, www.befreebenson.com. We'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel as well. Remember, doing things yourself, dealing with pink antifreeze, putting it in your camper so it doesn't freeze, allows you to be free. See you in the next video.